And online. We are holding a press conference because, as you will have seen, we have just published the EU-US joint statement spelling out a blueprint and a roadmap for our future trade, investment and economic relations. I'm very pleased to be joined here in the press room by our EU Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič, who has been working night and day to get this joint statement over the line. So the Commissioner will say a few words and then we will take your questions as usual. Commissioner, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon. As Olive rightly pointed out, over the summer and under the steer of President von der Leyen, I have maintained regular contact with my US counterparts to follow up on the July agreement reached in Scotland. And today I am pleased to announce that we have crossed the finish line. We are issuing a joint statement that frames our agreement on a fair, balanced and mutually beneficial trade and investment relationship between the European Union and the United States. This carries considerable weight and is truly impactful at a time when the trade landscape has completely changed. Our transatlantic relationship is one of the largest economic partnerships in the world. And this agreement has a clear common goal: to put it on solid ground and help drive reindustrialization on both sides of the Atlantic. And we want to fully unleash the potential of our combined economic power. But this is not the end. It's the beginning. This framework is the first step, one that can grow over time to cover more sectors, improve market access, and strengthen our economic ties even further. This work has been intense and essential. It brings stability and predictability to our relationship, two things that matter deeply to our businesses. It also strengthens our broader transatlantic partnership, which is more important than ever in today's complex geopolitical landscape. Let me focus on a few highlights from the joint statement. First, a 15% all-inclusive tariff cap for the European Union. This is the most favorable trade deal the US has extended to any partner. A wide range of sectors, including strategic industries such as cars, pharmaceuticals, semiconductors and lumber, will benefit from this cap. To get a bit technical, unlike with other trading partners, the 15% cap does not come on top of existing most favored nation tariffs. Instead, it includes them. Where existing tariffs are already 15% or higher, no additional tariff will apply. This means that the EU will benefit from significantly lower effective tariffs compared to other countries. Second, we have locked in significant exemptions, zero or no zero tariffs in important areas. This includes unavailable natural resources such as quarks, then aircrafts and aircraft parts, generic pharmaceuticals and their ingredients and chemical precursors. Again, this is just the first step. The EU and the US will explore exempting additional sectors in the future. Third, tariffs on cars and car parts will drop to 15% starting August 1st, helping our automotive industry remain globally competitive. Fourth, recognizing our shared challenge and the benefits of joint action, the EU and the US intend to collaborate to shield our economies from overcapacity in the steel and aluminium sectors. In practice, we will work together on tariff rate quota solutions to ensure security of supply in these critical industries. On our side, the Commission is taking concrete steps to remove tariffs on all US industrial goods and expand market access for US seafood and agricultural products. The EU will also strengthen its energy security by procuring US LNG, oil, and nuclear energy products valued at $750 billion through 2028. Additionally, the EU will enhance its AI capabilities by securing a steady supply of AI chips from the US for European computing centers valued at least $40 billion. Our companies foresee $600 billion in new EU investments in strategic US sectors through 2028, and we will increase defense procurement from the US to strengthen NATO interoperability. All in all, this is a serious strategic deal. We are fully behind it, and we are committed to delivering. Let me say this clearly. The alternative, a trade war with sky-high tariffs and political escalation, helps no one. It hurts jobs, it hurts growth, and it damages businesses across both the EU and the US. And this is not theoretical, as nearly 5 million European jobs, including many in SMEs, would be at risk. This deal avoids that path. It builds confidence, it brings stability, and it strengthens a vital transatlantic bond at a time where unity and partnership are more important than ever. In conclusion, I would like to thank EU member states and the European Parliament for their continued support. We have kept them closely involved throughout the process. And I look forward to continuing our collaboration on the next steps, as we will need to translate key elements of the joint statement into legislative proposals. Finally, let me appreciate my US counterparts, Secretary Latnik, US Trade Representative Ambassador Greer, and their teams for the positive and cooperative relationship my team and I have developed with them over these months of intense meetings and negotiations. Thank you.
Many thanks, Commissioner. We can now start taking your questions. Andy Bounce.
Hi, thanks very much. First day back from holiday, so good timing. Can I just ask a couple of questions? First, when will you put forward the legislative proposal to do what the US wants in order to result it? And how long will it take to get that through the system? And what will be the involvement of the European Parliament in that process? And secondly, can I just ask what qualification EU car producers will have to show under the rules of origin to qualify for the 15% tariff? Thanks.
Commissioner.
Thank you very much. And so, Andy, welcome back from holidays. And if it comes to your questions, so as you would, I'm sure you probably already have read it. If not, you will, I'm sure, go very thoroughly through the text of the joint statement. There is a paragraph which says that US will apply the 15% tariffs for cars as of first of the month in which the legislative proposals for lowering the tariff is launched. So our firm intention, and we are working very hard with my colleagues at DG Trade, SecGen, and all Commission services to present these legislative proposals and launch the process still this month. I informed about this yesterday. Secretary Latnik. He assured me if this is the case, the 15% tariffs would be applied retroactively as of 1st of August, and I believe that this is welcome news for our car industry, who was bleeding a lot of cash over the last few months, and therefore our determination to launch the process this month is very clear. Concerning the rules of origin, of course, this would require more detailed discussions and negotiations. We are preparing for that. But I think that in really more than, I would say, 120, 30 hours of personal face-to-face time I had with my counterparts over the last couple of months, I think we made very clear conclusions. First, there is a huge benefit in having transatlantic standards. Our industry would benefit a lot. The cost will go down, and of course it would have a huge impact on standard management and standard forming across, I would say, the global economy. And therefore we decided to work closely on standards, to have a detailed discussions on the rules of origin, but of course it would require further work. But what is very important that we'll both approach it in a good faith, and I'm convinced that we'll find the best possible solutions for our industries and businesses.
Thank you, Commissioner. Karl.
Karl de Meyer for Les Echos. Commissioner, you didn't say anything about the digital legislation of the EU. I remember after the framework agreement in Scotland, there were somehow contradictory assessments from the US side and the EU side. Are you confident that now the interpretation is reconciled?
Thank you very much for that question. You will find one paragraph on the cooperation in the digital sphere and cybersecurity, but this applies mostly to the usage of the networks, and I would say this type of the cooperation. And as you would probably recall, it was a few months ago I was signing a digital agreement with Singapore. We've been upgrading our trade agreement with Japan. Just to add, I would say, this digital element in our trade agreements, because the agreements with these countries we signed before the digital became so important. So what we are actually doing here is actually creating the conducive space for enhancing, of course, the digital trading possibilities between EU and US. But your question is related to the DMA, DST, DSA, and we kept these issues out of the trade negotiations. We've been focusing on what was very clearly the priority, and therefore you will not find a reference to it in the joint statement. Will it come later on? Will it be discussed? Our relationship is so vast that for sure there will be a lot of issues which will be discussed, but we of course been very clear that for us the regulatory autonomy is absolutely important, and that was our position from the beginning until the conclusion of this joint statement.
Thank you, Commissioner. Janos.
Thanks. Janos Anbach, Amman, Table Briefings. You haven't answered Andy's question on the Parliament's involvement, so I would like to re-ask that. What's the Parliament's role in lowering the EU tariffs for the US? And then secondly, in the joint statement, you write that the European Union further plans to work with the United States to adopt and maintain technology security requirements in line with those of the United States. And the United States will endeavor to facilitate such exports once such requirements are in place, referring to AI chip exports. Does that mean that the EU will only gain access to US AI chips once it has applied the US export security or economic security requirements?
Thank you very much also for reminding me about the first question. So what I was referring to was that what we are striving at and working very hard on is to launch the process, the legislative process still this month, so our car industry can benefit from retroactive application of the 15% tariffs as of 1st of August. Just before I was talking to you, I was briefing EU ambassadors, I was briefing the key members of the European Parliament about the joint statement and results of our negotiations, and I also explained to them what we proposed is to make the legislative proposal, which would be then of course discussed by the co-legislators. So it would be the ordinary legislative procedure, and of course I was pleading with them already this morning that we should work constructively on these very important issues, to be swift and to conclude the work with the full involvement of European Parliament and of course the Council to deliver the results we are committed to, and which is reflected in the joint statement. Second questions you've been asking about AI chips. I'm sure you would be recalling the surprise of the European Union about one of the last decisions of Biden administration about the so-called diffusion rules, where some of the countries been not allowed to purchase the high-end AI chips. So it was kind of the EU was divided into the two groups, and you can imagine that all member states which have been in the second group were not happy about it at all. So it was one of the first issues I raised with my counterparts. I'm very glad that they took it on board. They understand the importance of the high-end AI chips for European economy. And in the joint statement, what you see is our intention to purchase at least $40 billion worth of these top AI chips for our computing centers in Europe. What we discussed with my US counterparts is the fact that they also want to make sure that once these AI chips are in Europe, they will stay in Europe, that they will be used for the benefit of European economy, that they will not be transshipped somewhere else. So there will have to be, I would say, the recognized partner with the clear, I would say, security credentials. But I would say this is the standard process if we are talking about the sensitive technologies, and so it's nothing new. For us, of course, what is important is to have the access to these top technologies, and we are, of course, ready to work together with our US partners to make sure that we, of course, respect all the security requirements of both parties, EU and US, just to make sure that sensitive technology will not end in the wrong hands. And therefore, I do not see any problem with that, because clearly our certified companies are absolutely ready to make sure that the appropriate handling and use of high sensitive top technology, in this case AI chips, will be properly organized and maintained.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll take a couple of questions online, starting with Anupriya from Euractiv. Anupriya, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you for the question. Anupriya from Euractiv. I wanted to ask specifically what is meant by unjustified digital barriers that is mentioned in the joint statement, and what does it entail? Is that referring to the DSA and the DMA, or any other aspects? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question as well. As you know, we will have also the technical briefing after this press conference, and I think you will find that language in the paragraph which is talking about the digital technologies, which is also talking about network usage fees, and this come backs to the response I just gave a few minutes ago, that simply for the digital trade sometimes you have to upgrade the rules. You have to see if there are not some non-tariff barriers which are actually prohibiting or limiting the trade in the digital services and digital trading practices. So this is what is behind this paragraph, and of course as you can imagine, this is a very technical issue, but if you are asking me if this is about regulatory environment, so this is not the case, and this paragraph does not refer to DMA or DSA.
Next question. We'll take another question online from Sabina. Sabina, are you there? Can you connect? I'm going to give you one last chance, Sabina.
Sorry, here I am. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So, please, what are the prospects for tariffs on wine and spirits?
Yeah, the tariffs on the wine, spirits and beer was one of very important offensive interests of the European Union. Unfortunately, here we didn't succeed to get this sector and this category among the sectors which would continue to be on the MFN level. I just would like to add one very important word, and this is yet. Because our US colleagues, they know that this is our offensive interest. That's something which is very important for us, and therefore I would also refer you to the paragraph which is very important for us, which says that both parties, the United States and the EU, are ready to look at other sectors where we could lower these tariffs in the future. It's not precise wording, I can find it there, but I'm sure you will find it in a joint statement. So these doors are not closed forever. We've been very clear that this is very important for us, and we'll be working with our US partners over the time to open the number of the sectors where we would like to see, for the benefit, I believe, on consumers on both sides and for the benefit of the trade, to further lower the tariffs, especially in these very important categories, to the MFN level.
Thank you, Commissioner. Coming back to the room, we have Edith.
Thank you very much. Edith Hancock with Dow Jones. Thank you for the question. It's really a follow-up on the wines and spirits. So you say that this has been a big issue for the European Union. We know that member states have been lobbying quite hard for that. It's a huge issue for industry on either side of the Atlantic as well. How soon, when you say yet, how soon do you think exemptions will come out? And can you speak to anything about the appetite from the US side, from all these long conversations you've been having with your counterparts, of, you know, how amenable they would be to that exemption? Thank you.
I don't want to say that that would be easy, or that it will happen the next week. Clearly, you know, we've been working on it since we started these negotiations since February, and there have been different opinions on this issue coming from the US side. In the end, what I understand was very important for our American partners was the balance, the number of the so-called carve-outs, and the overall level and the balance of the agreement, which would be acceptable for the President of the United States. So I would say that what was very important is to stabilize the situation, to start from somewhere. We are starting from the joint statement. We are opting for predictability, certainty in this regard, and of course this would be the issue which would be on the table, and we'll be looking different ways how we can address this issue. So, but I also do not want to be in the position to offer the false promises right now, because we've been working very hard on that. This one we didn't get in, but what I can tell you that there is clear commitment from the European Commission that we'll be putting on the table, and we've been working as hard as we can to expand the number of sectors. And for us, two particular important areas. One is wine, spirit and beer, and second, of course, is steel and aluminium, because these are two sectors where I believe we are mutually complementary, and where I believe that on both sides of Atlantic we would benefit hugely if we would manage to go back to MFN levels.
Thank you, Commissioner. Don't see any more hands in the room. I'll come back to you, Janos. Let me go online again. Finbar.
Thank you very much, Olaf. A question on the economic security elements of the agreement. You've said that the agreement says that you will cooperate on outbound and inbound investment screening with the United States. Obviously, in the last administration, this was not terribly popular with member states, the idea that the outbound investment screening would be done in tandem with the White House. Can you explain, Commissioner, how you intend to progress with this, what mileage you see for actually convincing member states that this is necessary, and any sort of concrete ways in which you see that coming into reality? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. I mean, I'm sure, and I hope, let's start with I hope. I hope that in the coming months, be it by the end of the year or early next year, they will be able to present you economic security doctrine upon which we are working as a European Commission for the whole European Union. And of course, part of that work on this economic security doctrine is very close cooperation with the member states, just to understand where we are, to compare the notes. Different member states have different approaches, and we need something which would be coherent across the board for everyone, so we will not have loopholes in the system, and we will have the same standards. And of course, if it comes to sensitive technologies, I was referring to AI chips. There was a clear understanding from the NATO summit that we need even more interoperability among our systems, be it in military, be it in cybersecurity, and therefore this is clearly, I would say, totally new area where we also feel that with our closest ally and largest trading partner, we just have to also upgrade the way how we would assess economic security from the technological point of view, how we would make sure that we would respect the sensitivities from the both sides if it comes to the shared technologies, because if I'm talking about the chips, we are so interwoven, we are so interlocked that we have the printing machines which are printing the chips. Americans have the designer who are designing them, so it's only natural that we have to work very closely to have the same standards. Another very important aspect, which you will also find in the joint statement, is how we are going to tackle the sector of critical raw materials. I mean, we have seen how this became super sensitive. We had quite a few dramatic moments in the spring and early summer of this year, where simply permanent magnets, rare earth, and other critical raw materials became of short supply to our EU companies. And again, it's only natural that we would look some kind of common solutions, common approaches to make sure that our industry will have what it needs to perform and to work in this direction. So I think that the attitude of our member states is slightly changing. We know that if we use the word security, we are very much in the domain of national prerogatives of our member states, but I think there is increased understanding among them that we just simply need to do much more together. And I think from the reaction from our member state this morning, there is also the appetite to work even more closely in this area with our NATO allies and with the United States of America.
Many thanks, Commissioner. I will take another question online before I come back to the room. Sophie Petitjean. Go ahead, Sophie.
Yes, hello, thank you. Coming back to the unjustified digital barriers, I would like to ask you about a statement from Mr. Lutnick that he gave end of July, where he said that plenty of hours trading left to do, and he mentioned namely digital services taxes. So can you elaborate a bit about that, as it's not mentioned in the joint statement? Is there an informal agreement to discuss this topic in the future? Thank you.
Thank you very much. You rightly pointed out that there is no reference in the joint statement to this, because we've been focusing on the top priorities, and if it comes to taxation and digital service taxes, you know, those which exist have been issued under the national competence, and therefore the EU doesn't have the competence over this nationally introduced digital service taxes. Therefore, we decided to keep all this sector out of the joint statement, and our focus would be now on the proper implementation of what was agreed, and therefore I'm glad that this is how we concluded our discussion on this common document, because it anyway gave us a lot of work for the coming months and weeks.
Thank you, Commissioner. We need to start wrapping up, folks, as the Commissioner has other engagements and we want to allow time for the technical briefing. So I'll take one more question from online. Matthew at MLEX. Go ahead, Matthew. Matthew, push the magic button so we can see and hear you, please.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
We have you now. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner, thanks for the briefing. You've repeated multiple times that DMA, DSA were not part of the declaration. I understand that quite well. And there's also been a push by the United States to actually include it. And I'm just wondering if this pressure from the United States to include digital legislation like DSA, DMA, and others, did that have an effect on any of the timing of this declaration, which is several weeks after the actual deal with the United States? And if you could just give us a little bit of a hint on what Olaf was saying, that you spent days and nights on this. What were the main kind of hiccups or main barriers that kept you the most busy? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I mean, and Olaf was right, and I think he joined us in some of the trips. I think if I look at it from retrospect, I was the first foreign guest of Secretary Latnik. I remember very well our first phone conversation when I was telling him, the Secretary, you have your confirmation vote tomorrow. It was on Tuesday. So why wouldn't we meet on Wednesday? Because I'm sure you will pass, and let's start talking how to avoid the mutual pain, because I understand what is the mood and what are the plans of the U.S. administration. And I think it was very important first to understand each other points, that what is the attitude towards tariffs, what is the huge priority of the new administration to reindustrialize the economy, which we share, and we have the same goal here in Europe. What would be the main sticking points? How to deal with all the ups and downs and with the hugely dynamic process which we had since that. So I think that if we calculated correctly, we had over 10 trips. Our team and myself, and as I tell you, it's very well over 120, 130 hours we talk to each other on different topics and various levels. But this is, how it works in US also, because they've been in a transition, so a lot of work has to be done on the so-called level of principles. So only Secretary of Commerce and USTR had the authority to discuss this issue with us. And of course, as you know, the President Trump has eye for the details, and all these trade deals have to be personally reviewed and approved by him. So they've been also looking for the way how to put on the table the proposals which would be approved by the President. So it was rather elaborate, very, very demanding process, but I think that it helped us to really create quite strong personal relationship on the level of our President Ursula von der Leyen with the President Trump, but also on the level of Secretary Latnik, Secretary Bessent, Kevin Hassett from the White House, National Economic Advisors Director, but also Jameson Greer and his team at the USTR office. And I think that managing such a huge relationship like we have in this very volatile geopolitical situation, all this would be important in the future. So it was the process of understanding each other, looking for the common solutions, and then also clearly pushing forward for the European general interest and for our priorities, and paving the way that this is not the end, this is the beginning, and we can bring many more positive solutions in the future to our mutual cooperation. So this is how I would describe it, and we clearly would use that invested capital in the future as much as possible.
Many thanks to you all for joining us in person and online. Commissioner Šefčovič, thank you for being here and for explaining this to us in such great detail. Thank you to our interpreters and technical people here. To remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that our press release, a question and answer document and the full joint statement are available online for you to peruse. We'll take a quick break now and we come right back for the technical briefing. Many thanks to you all and good afternoon.